Chapter 10. My freshman and sophomore years. Adjustment phase. I enjoyed being a wide-eyed freshman as things were happening so quickly and it was all new to me. This was my first time living away from home and being around so many people who did not look like me. My roommate was the literal opposite of me in more ways than just appearance. It seemed like all he wanted to do was party and drink every night with his future frat brothers. I quickly realized there was only one other black male student in my entire dorm, but he eventually moved out. Thankfully, my resident director was a cool black man named Julian Oliver. He became a mentor and a big brother figure by being someone to talk with and receive guidance from. He and I are still close friends to this day. The first week and weekends on any college campus are party time every single day and night. This week is called Syllabus Week because this is when professors review their course syllabi and typically do not give any assignments yet. I initially met my teammates during Syllabus Week at the track and at the unofficial track house where some of my teammates lived and threw parties. Before one of those parties, a teammate asked me if I drank alcohol. I was 17 years young and completely lied to him by saying yes because I wanted to try it for the first time. He handed me a beer and it was the most disgusting thing I had ever tasted. Fortunately, I had a teammate, Adam Bodrick, who would become another mentor and big brother figure. Adam let me know it was okay to casually drink alcohol that tastes good or even choose to not drink. He also showed me how I did not need to attend every party or accept every invitation to go out and get drunk. This was a major relief, as the number one question I would hear every day from at least one person on campus was, "Are you going out tonight?" They asked the question in an inviting way, but I was always amused by the consistency. Most times, I would say no, and then give them a strange look, because it was usually a school night. I was conscious of having class at 8:30 a.m., exams to study for, a high GPA to accomplish, and a need for proper rest for track practice. Why would I repeatedly go out and jeopardize all of that? There were some nights when I said yes to partying during the week and weekends. However, I learned that frequent partying soon becomes repetitive and less interesting, as it typically involves the same chain of events and people in attendance. Going through the motions just to fit in simply is not worth it. Have fun when it is practical and if you can be responsible, but always prioritize your studies and your future. Dear Kenny, there will always be outside pressures pulling at you to be like everyone else and just fit in with the norm. But who decides what normal or cool is? At the end of the day, you always must look yourself and your morals in the mirror. Your positive and higher self, your mind, body, and spirit will help you decipher between right and wrong. Here's an example. Kenny, most of your classmates and teammates are excessively partying, smoking, drinking, and eating unhealthy food. You should do it too. My response? Skip that. How do those things help me live a better life or achieve my goals? I refuse to blindly follow the masses, and I choose to think for myself while carving my own path of greatness. Sincerely, Kenny Glenn, success coach and entrepreneur. As an athlete with a high metabolism, I was always hungry. Yet, thanks to my father trying to save every penny of the $10,000 he paid for me to stay in a dorm on campus, I was forced to choose the cheapest meal plan available. This led me to rely on other athletes to swipe me into dining halls so I could save my little bit of money for food when I was alone. Freshman and sophomore athletes on the football team and basketball team quickly became my homies. I also had a cousin on the football team, Kelvin Cook, who always looked out for me. Since he and most of the other athletes lived in the dorm across from mine, I spent lots of time over there. We ate together, partied together, and played video games. Also, since I was the only black track male athlete who lived on campus, they provided the social connection I needed. Some of those guys have become beneficial lifelong friends, such as the former professional basketball player, Rod Mills. Often, I had to rush to class after practice or rush to practice after class. Walking was entirely too slow to get around the large campus of Miami. This led to me riding my bike all over campus. Having a lock was extremely necessary because a bike without a lock would be stolen. I bought multiple cheap locks because I did not have or want to spend much money. As the days got colder, my lock eventually froze, and I was done buying new ones just for the same thing to happen again. My creative solution was to get to class early, enter a side entrance of the building, and carry my bike down the stairwell to the basement. When I first implemented this idea, I wrote on a piece of paper, "Entrepreneur Project, do not touch or remove." I also wrote the name of the professor who headed the entrepreneurship program. This helped make sure no student or staff member would touch my bike. Genius, right? Freshman year academics. I wanted to treat college just like high school and establish a good GPA to build a solid foundation. In most classes, I immediately noticed I was the only black student and the only athlete. Therefore, it was easy for everyone to remember my name, but there were many times when I felt like I did not belong. I thought to myself, the other students probably think I'm just a dumb jock who is fulfilling the minority quota. This is called imposter syndrome. First and foremost, I had to remind myself that I was in college thanks to my academic prowess, with the hopes of eventually earning an athletic scholarship. Still, even with all the advanced classes I passed in high school and the college summer programs I attended during my youth, I still felt unprepared. Certainly, I would have felt more comfortable at a historically black college or university, or HBCU for short, but I was at Miami University, a predominantly white institution, or PWI for short. The percentage of students at Miami University who identified as Black Americans was only 3%. However, thanks to my high school having a 90% Black American student population, that was my version of an HBCU experience. Attending a PWI for college forced me to develop the ability to adapt and succeed in any environment. This reality exposed me to different cultures and backgrounds, as well as new levels of wealth. While on campus, I casually saw luxurious cars made by Lamborghini, Bentley, Porsche, and Maserati, to name a few. Before then, I was only accustomed to seeing cars made by Honda, Toyota, and Nissan. Dear Kenny, the college adjustment period is a situation where it is applicable to fake it till you make it, to overcome imposter syndrome. I began to act like I belonged until I felt and realized I truly did. I deserved to be in those same classrooms, and I had the same right and ability to complete assignments. Now, when I walk into any room or building, I act as if I belong there. This aura can be felt by everyone around me, and it prevents questions like, "Sir, can I help you?" or "Are you lost?" If I walked around timidly and showed it on my face, I would stick out for the wrong reasons. Sincerely, Kenny Glenn, success coach and entrepreneur. Another factor that attributed to me being uncomfortable during my adjustment phase was the fact that I did not study for any exams in high school. This quickly changed in college after I failed my first exams in physics and calculus. I withdrew from physics because I no longer wanted to continue the path of being a mechanical engineering major. In calculus, I was nonchalant before the first exam because I took calculus during my senior year of high school. In the beginning, most of the material was the same, so I chose not to pay attention in class. There were some days I even went to sleep if the lesson sounded familiar. I decided to stay in calculus because my advisor told me I would need it for whatever major I would eventually choose. In order to increase my grade, I had to intensify my focus and go to office hours at every chance. Most college courses are 3 credit hours, but calculus was 5. This meant the grade I earned in calculus would weigh more heavily on my GPA than any of my other grades. Thanks to my efforts, I received A's and B's on future calculus exams and earned a B+ as my final grade. I also did the typical college student thing of pulling an all-nighter on a paper I had to write for English class. This is where I advise avoiding procrastination. It is much easier and less stressful to complete assignments sooner rather than later. I stayed up until 5 o'clock a.m. typing my paper and then had to attend my 8:30 a.m. class. I could have easily skipped class because my professors were not strict on attendance like high school teachers. However, I did not want to make skipping class a habit or miss out on information that might be on a future exam. I did not feel the effects of my lack of sleep until the next day, and it showed. My coach was able to see my unusual sluggish behavior. This instance was the first and last time I would wait until the last minute to complete an assignment. Deeper into the semester, I began spending more time with Adam Bodrick and learning more about him during and after practice. When I arrived at Miami, he was a junior and 400-meter specialist. We would eventually link up on Friday and Saturday nights to play basketball in our main arena while everyone else was out partying at the bars. Adam taught me how to balance being a high GPA student, a finance major, and a great track athlete. He introduced me to Michelle Thomas, the Director for Diversity and Inclusion in Miami University's Farmer School of Business. Mrs. Thomas has been extremely instrumental in helping me and other students get into the business school, choose our majors, and find internships. After switching from being a mechanical engineering major, I contemplated majoring in sports leadership and management like most athletes. Adam and Mrs. Thomas assured me that I was much too smart to choose that major as a cop-out to avoid difficult classes. Then, I chose to major in finance like Adam because I loved numbers and business. One day, a Miami alum told me that majoring in accounting would allow me to learn both finance and accounting. Their advice made sense as I wanted to maximize my major and future job opportunities. Plus, the basics seemed easy to me because I had taken an accounting course in high school. At that point, I decided to become an accounting major. Dear Kenny, you are not confined to your major. This not only includes the ability to change it, but also to eventually work outside of your major or degree. I am a prime example of this because I have 2 degrees in accounting, but it does not mean I must be an accountant. Choosing the business major of accounting at a rigorous school like Miami forced me to learn and grow outside of my comfort zone. I eventually realized that my passion is not tied to accounting, nor do I like the subject. However, I know the importance of it, and now I can leverage my degrees and knowledge of the subject in applicable settings. I must also say that you should not emotionally give up when classes get hard or you fail an exam. Ask yourself if you are truly passionate about what you are studying. I have no regrets about my choice because of the benefits it has provided me and others close to me. However, do not stay in a major just because your parents or peers like and approve of it. Sincerely, Kenny Glenn, success coach and entrepreneur. Michelle Thomas is also the liaison for the business group, the Multicultural Business Association, or MBA for short. Adam was an executive member, and he invited me to their weekly meetings where free pizza was always served. Thanks to MBA, I gained other mentors such as Glenn Trepetta, Buku Ibrahim, Selena Fields, and Moyo Chinoda. Glenn Trepetta taught me the best questions to ask during an interview. I will list them in the next chapter. Buku Ibrahim kept my spirits high with her energy and inspirational quotes, such as, "Failure is just success pending. What is meant for you will happen for you. Turn your passion into a paycheck." With her internship in the NBA Summer League in Las Vegas, Selena Fields helped me see how big the world was and what types of internship opportunities were available. Moyo rewrote and rearranged my entire job resume to make it top tier. This allowed me to start interviewing with companies I did not even know about beforehand. Resume tips. A resume is a snapshot of your professional self that you use to get an interview. Typically, it is all typed on one sheet. A bonus tip is to extend the page margins so you can include more. A resume should include the following: your name in large font, your mailing address, phone number, and email address, bold headings and minimal white space, your previous and current education, including your major and GPA, if it's above a 3.0, your achievements and volunteer experience, a summary of your qualifications or skills that are applicable to the desired position, your work experience, using action verbs and well-crafted descriptions that demonstrate your responsibilities and their values. Example, replace "I was only a cashier" with "helped customers complete purchases, locate items, and join reward programs to promote loyalty, satisfaction, and sales numbers." Taking a break. Even with all the benefits of being a student athlete at Miami, I still felt stressed beyond what I originally imagined. During the winter break, I expressed to my father that I was considering taking a year off or quitting so I could make money and find what I truly wanted to do. College track workouts were much more demanding than high school track workouts, and my true love was still basketball. I am grateful that my father pushed me to continue because he realized that most students who take a break never return. He told me to look at my family members who did not finish college and determine if they were doing what they loved. He explained how college was not meant to be easy and that finishing it would be worth the struggle. Thanks, Dad. Freshman year, spring semester. February of my first year was when my first college track seasons began. Thanks to being a student athlete, I traveled across the country for free. This was my first time having an indoor track season and competing outside of Ohio. Interestingly, around this same time, I requested a release so I could take an official visit to the Ohio State University with hopes of possibly joining their track team. This was largely due to Miami's athletic department making plans to cut funds from the men's track program and fire the coach who recruited me. This would mean I would not be able to earn a partial scholarship for future years. My coach and I had a tight bond, and he was one of the main reasons I attended Miami. He saw the talent in me, and we did not want it to be wasted by his potential replacement. The coach who was set to replace my coach called me into his office for a meeting. He almost came to tears, expressing his desire for me to stay. An emotionally led person might cling to this, but I lead with logic. I heard from many athletes how he ran his team into the ground, meaning he overtrained them. Overtraining is something all athletes should avoid because balance is key in all aspects of life. As I expressed my wants and thoughts to the athletic department, I realized something. I am the prize. I checked all their boxes. I was a marginalized student, I was highly articulate, I had a high GPA, and I produced top-tier athletic results. With all of these ingredients, Miami certainly did not want me to leave. As I visited the Ohio State University, they had everything an athlete could ask for. They offered me a guaranteed spot, but informed me that there was no money available. This reality would put me in the same financial position I was in at Miami. My parents allowed me to choose where I eventually wanted to go. A couple of weeks went by, and I received a surprise email and phone call explaining how Miami magically found some athletic funds and offered them to me if I chose to stay. Dear Kenny, know the power you hold, be patient, and be smart enough to make your own decisions. Sincerely, Kenny Glenn, success coach and entrepreneur. Throughout the indoor and outdoor seasons, I continued to adjust to the new level of competition. I also knew that if my coach was going to get fired, I wanted to send him off with a stellar season. Although I did not initially believe I was fast, Coach Reynolds saw my potential and believed I could be a sprinter. He pushed me to run the 4x100 relay, and my first time doing so would be in my first outdoor meet at Wake Forest University. I was nervous about being on the 4x100 relay, especially as the anchor leg. I did no sprinting events in high school because of fear. I chose to stay comfortable with winning in my jumping events. I did not think I was fast enough, and I did not want to lose and do so in front of my teammates just to hear them say, "You got cooked." I had carried this same mindset into college, and I was extremely nervous. During the actual race, to make sure I did not get cooked, I took off too early for my teammate to pass me the baton. I had to slow down so he could get me the baton within the legal exchange zone. During this time, the sprinters on both sides of me got their batons before me and were ahead of me. When I finally got the baton, I ran the fastest I had ever run. I eventually passed my competitors and won the race. When I crossed the finish line, I looked both ways in complete shock. It all happened so quickly that I do not even think I took a breath. This occurrence grew my self-belief, and afterward, I told my coach I wanted to stay on the 4x100 relay and even do the 100-meter dash. My confidence grew with each meet, and I noticed my ability to compete with the best of the best. With the addition of my new sprinting events, I continued to get stronger and faster. At the age of 17, this new confidence, speed, and strength helped me to achieve a long jump mark of 24 feet, 5 inches. This was a personal best, and it placed me on the list of top 10 long jumpers in Miami history. That same jump also earned me a guaranteed spot in the first round of the national championships in Jacksonville, Florida. This was a great way to end my freshman year and earn my very first plane ride. Sophomore year, academics. As a sophomore, I felt much more comfortable as I established a routine that made academics and athletics easier to juggle. However, this is also the year I was officially admitted into the Farmer School of Business. I had to increase the time I spent on homework for business classes, which led me to give up playing video games. Around this time, I was often asked, "Kenny, why do you go so hard?" The question would come from classmates and teammates when I would reject drugs or choose to study instead of following the crowd. I went hard because I saw so many people I grew up with who had it. They had the opportunity to be star students or athletes, go to college for free, graduate college, and then change their families' lives for generations to come. But instead, they chose the comfortable path of giving up and making dumb decisions. Of course, I had fun and partied on occasion, but I always stayed focused on the bigger picture. Most people in our society want to feel good and be rewarded immediately, but I am here to tell you the importance of delayed gratification. This is the ability to postpone immediate pleasure in exchange for a greater reward that will come later. Delayed gratification can be applied in all areas of life. Remember the story about me selling Starburst in the 8th grade? College taught me the fancy words for the concepts that I already knew. As you elevate throughout life, each new level will require a new language. Not language as in French, Spanish, or German. The language I am referring to is when you must learn and use certain words or phrases to show your understanding of a subject. Business is simple, but the terminology can make it confusing to some. Here is an example of an accounting breakdown. My mother drove me to the store to pick up my candy products. For a large-scale business, this would be considered shipping and freight costs. I then purchased inventory at a certain price, which was my cost of goods sold. I then sold those products to receive revenue. The money I was left with after I calculated the expenses was my gross profit. If I had to pay taxes, whatever I had left was my net income. I could reinvest that net income into growing the company, or I could pay myself. Use this example and terminology to help you better understand business fundamentals. Sophomore year, athletics. This same year, I had to come to terms with the fact I would be getting a new track coach. Russell Peterson, the new coach, would become a great friend. He is a young white guy, but it is obvious that he grew up in black neighborhoods. His background and seeing my potential to be legendary helped grow our bond. Coach Peterson made his presence felt around the athletic community when he invited a nutritional specialist to come speak on campus. This speaker explained the proper amounts of sleep we should get, what we should eat, and the harmful effects of drugs and alcohol. He stated and proved how getting intoxicated from alcohol causes an athlete to lose 2 weeks' worth of training. That day, I chose to stop drinking alcohol during training because I could not afford the risk of throwing away the hard work I put in. These types of careless decisions are what negatively affect many college and professional athletic performances. Around the same time, I still made a bad decision by choosing to play in an unnecessary intramural basketball game. I should have been out there just having fun, but I allowed my emotions to get the best of me. I was invited by my friend and classmate, Ahmad Peterkin. I played and lost against Ahmad and his school in my final high school basketball game. I was still hurt by this and had a chip on my shoulder from it. Even though I had not played basketball in months, I wanted to prove I was still a beast on the court. The team we went against began to play super hard, so I upped my intensity and played angrily. Then, in one play, I went up for a rebound and came down on someone's foot. I felt my right ankle twist and thought it was a normal sprain. However, when I tried to get up and jog, I could not apply any pressure on it. I stayed for the rest of the game and then hopped on my good foot to my dorm next door. When I took off my shoe, my ankle immediately swelled up into what looked like 3 times its normal size. The pain was so unbearable that I could not even sleep. It is a blessing that I did not break it, but the healing process was a long 13 weeks before I could sprint again. Then, I returned to sprinting too early and injured my left hip flexor because my body was overcompensating. I rushed back because I had something to prove. No matter what, I still knew I was the best athlete on the team, and I had to show my new coach how great I truly was. I also wanted to win a conference medal and return to the national championships. The season was a struggle, all the way up until my last jump at the conference championships. The crowd was going crazy as the long jumpers from the University of Akron were about to win all 3 medals. My teammate Pete Stefanski told me, "You better not let these guys sweep the podium." I felt the bruise on my left heel from all the pounding I had placed on it from jumping and heavily relying on my left leg. But I could not let that stop me in the moment. I mustered up everything inside of me as I sprinted towards the sand, and when I jumped, my only thought was, "Don't land, don't land, don't land." Eventually, I did land and knew it was a massive jump. The measurement judges said out loud, 7.63 meters. I screamed, "Let's go!" while my teammates went wild with celebration as we knew this translated to 25 feet. This jump was a school record and guaranteed me a medal and a spot at the first round of the national championships in Jacksonville, Florida again. I cried tears of joy and redemption. Thanks to my young age of 18, this same jump qualified me for the USATF Junior National Championships in Clovis, California. This competition was my first trip to the West Coast, and it was completely paid for. I saw and competed against current Olympians and world champions like Noah Lyles and Grant Holloway.